Hello Phoenix class, and welcome to the first lesson in our unit on perimeter, area and volume. First of all, I want you to spend a little bit of time going through these PowerPoint slides. They'll tell you the vocabulary that we're going to come up with in this unit, and it also gives you an idea of what we're going to be covering over the next 10 or 11 lessons, so the next couple of weeks. It will also give you an idea of the type of questions we're going to be looking at and that you're going to be answering. So this is where we're starting today. I can find shapes with the same area. Here's our first one. The dimensions of the rooms are different, but the areas are the same. Is Jen correct? So, well, first of all, I want you to think what's the same and what's different about these two rooms. Well, each room has been split into different sections. Each room is based on squared paper. I wonder how we could find the area. I could count the squares, couldn't I, in each one? Let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So in A, there are 24 squares. I'll let you count B. What did you notice? B is 24 as well. So we can say that both rooms have the same number of squares, so the area must be the same. We've broken the area inside each down, haven't we? In room A, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of 3 squares. In room B, we've also got 4 sets of 3 squares. In room A, we've got 3 sets of 4 squares, and in room B, we've also got 3 sets of 4 squares. So that means both the rooms have the same number of squares, so both the rooms have the same area. We can count the number of squares along the top. So that's 6, and every square represents 1 metre. So that's 6 metres long in room A. So that's the length of the room. The width of the room is 4 squares, so that's 4 metres. So we can also, rather than counting all the squares, we can do 6 times 4, which equals 24. So I've times the length by the width to get the area. Wonder if that works in B. So I've got 8 squares along in B, so that's 8 metres. So that's our length. And our width is 3 squares, so that's 3 metres. So if I do 3 times 8, that also gives me 24. So we can make a new generalisation here, can't we? To find the area of a rectangle, the length is multiplied by the width. So we could go one step further and turn that into a stem sentence. The area of the rectangle is 24 metres squared because I multiplied 6 metres by 4 metres, which is the length times the width. So this next part of the question asks us to rearrange the parts of one room to make a different shape from the ones shown. What dimensions of the new room? What are the dimensions of the new room? What is the area? So we've already decided we don't need to count all the squares here. Can you remember how much our area was? That's right, it's 24 metres squared. So we want to think about the calculation we need to do. Length times width equals 24. So we've got something times something equals 24. So what are our factors of 24 that might help us? We've already had 4 and 6. We've already had 3 and 8. What are other factors of 24? Well done. It could be 2 and 12. And we can use the shapes within our room, which we've broken down, to help us prove that as well. So our new length of our room could be 12 metres and our width could be 2 metres. So 2 times 12 or 12 times 2 is 24. The area of the rectangle is 24 metres squared because I multiplied 2 times 12, which is the width times the length. Let's go on to this one. So find the shapes that have the same area. Right, the first thing I'm noticing about shape A is that is not a rectangle. I could count the squares in total, or I could split A into 2 rectangles. Now I've got the top one, which is 2 squares long by 1 square height, so that's 2 times 1. And the bottom part of A, which is 6 squares, so that is 6 times 1. 6 plus 2 will give us 8. B, you can do B because remember, to find the area of a rectangle, we do the length times the width. So the length is 4 and the width, we can count the squares for that. That's going to be 3. So 4 times 3. D is also easy. The length is 4, the width is 2. Times them together and that will give you the area. But C, now that's not a rectangle again, is it? So, but we could do the same as we did in A and split that into 2. Don't forget to add the 2 back together again. I'll let you finish that task on your own. In this question, it says these 2 shapes have the same area. That's what Lewis thinks. But Lexi says, no, they do not, because one of the shapes looked smaller. Who do you agree with? Explain why. Now, the problem here with Lewis's square is it's not split into little squares, is it? So we can't just count the squares inside. But do you remember how we can do it? We can do the length times the width. What's the length? Well, the length is 9 centimetres. What's the width? The width is 4 centimetres. So we can do 9 times 4, and that will tell us the area of that rectangle. Now, Lexi's, all we know that each square is 1 centimetre long. So we are going to do a bit of counting, but we don't need to count all the squares. We need to count how many there are going horizontally. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And how many are going vertically or down the page? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we can times those 2 together, just like we did with Lewis's square. Do we get the same answer or not? Part B is I want you to draw your own rectangle which has the same area, but it cannot be the same as either of the 2 on this page. Then you're in your practice book. So calculate the area of each rectangle. Do the rectangles in each pair have the same area? So this is very similar to that last question that we've done. A, you have to count the squares for the length and the width and then times them together. B, you've got those numbers given to you. You know the length is 10 and you know the width is 2. So you just need to times those together. In B, that one's still a rectangle, but it's on its side. So we need to do 16 times 3, and then we need to do 8 times 6. Is it the same? Then look at number 2. So use these clues to draw 3 rectangles that each have an area of 36. So clue 1 is a square for shape A, but there is no clue 2. So how are we going to work that out? Remember, what are the properties of a square? Every square has equal sides. Now for shape B, we know it's a rectangle and one of the sides is 4. The length is 4 times the width. Oh, so if the width was 1, the length would be 4. If the width was 2, the length is 8. And shape C is a compound shape. Now, a compound shape is like the ones that weren't a rectangle on the previous question. You know, question shapes A and C, where it was like 2 rectangles stuck together. That's a compound shape. On question 3, all of these shapes have the same area. So shape A, we can work out the area from that, can't we? Length times the width. Now on shape B, we now know what the area is going to be. So it's something times 10 equals our area. Shape C, we haven't got any measurements at all, but you can see that it is longer than shape B, but it is narrower. So the width will be less and the length will be more than 10. Have a go at that one. If you would like more practice, you've got these questions here. If you want a challenge, here you go. Then you're going to finish by answering this question. On the very last page of your PowerPoint, you've got the answers. So mark it, go back and make your corrections, and then have a look. And if you've got stuck on any of them, put that in your message when you upload your work onto Teams, and I will answer you. Have fun today.